rumors that he actually might be leaving in January to Real
Forget
Madrid.
Champions Leagues. Forget,
How did the Premier Ronaldo hate?
League.
Enough with the Ronaldo hate. Ballon d'Or, that's the only one that matters.
No, it's funny though. I've spoken to so many players who are talking about end of season awards and they give them the ballots. And some of these guys, Danny Dickey would tell me at QPR, he would give his ballot to the kit boy.
He isn't happy with the way the season went, and I can't imagine that Vanni Sartini will be either. Back on the couches, I'm joined with Mikey saying Vancouver just narrowly missed out on the playoffs there.
It was close. I mean, I got to give them credit. They pushed all the way to that point. Came down to the last game of the season. I'd even say the last half of the season because they were still pushing in that game. And yeah, unfortunately fell short. What I hope is that they don't give themselves false hope from this. I think Vancouver needs a serious evaluation in terms of what they need to progress moving forward. But it was nice to give the fans at least something to root for here down the stretch.
Sure, absolutely. And
All right, next one up. The next question on the survey is, who is the best keeper in the EPL? The survey says Sarah has Allison. Once again, Mikey's saying as Edison.
What is wrong with you, buddy?
Now, the best part of this is that Allison is spelled differently on each. It's two S's, by the way, the team. Arguably, you could say, but still a team that's oozing class as well. Could they be the major problem for a team like the Dutch here?
If we're looking at this group just by the team and who the players for each team, it should be the Netherlands. Mikey's right. And then I think it will come down to Senegal and Ecuador. I think Senegal, we know big man Sadio Mane is there. We're going to see goals from him. But I was looking at who Senegal have played of late. Yeah, they won the AFCON, but a lot of those games they actually drew to make it to the final.
Quiet, but sometimes you can catch room 442 wildlife interacting with one another. An amazing sight. True football intelligence.
Messi.
James, it's Ronaldo.
Messi.
It's always Ronaldo.
It's
No,
Messi.
it's Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo.
Messi,
It has to be
Messi.
Ronaldo.
Room 442. Proper footy talk?
He's able to score goals. In a game like that, you got to bring on the best player. You got to bring on the guy who scores you goals. And so for him to say that, it tells me, well, you have no respect for Luke Shaw. You have no respect for Lindelof. You have no respect for any other player you put on that pitch that came off the bench because you hold Ronaldo to a higher regard.
They have a deep squad. They're doing really well. At the end of the year, they're going to be losing Georgi Mihalovic and Ismail Kone. Right? Those are two very important pieces to this team. TFC, on the other hand, they have an open DP spot. They have a lot of money coming off the books. I think TFC, with the framework that they have, are closer to an MLS contender. And that's just going back to my original premise that Montreal is a good team, but they're not a great team.
Question, who is the most underrated player in the Premier League? Well, the survey says, surprise, surprise, Julian Alvarez, Tarek Lamptey, James Ward-Prowse, and Amadou Onana. They all different. That's nice to see.
Yeah, that's
okay. Very quickly, in 10 seconds, tell me why Onana.
I think he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the world in the next 5 years. I think in the Premier League, probably going to be one of the best if he ends up staying in the Premier League. I think he'll move from Everton in the next couple
See what
months,
happens
maybe
there with Wolves. But finally, let's jump through La Liga. Benzema returns from injury, but his off night. Penalty missed show Real aren't infallible.
They still haven't lost.
They haven't lost, but, that was a really, really poor penalty from Benz. It's meant to happen. To be honest, he had a great game, but you're tying Osasuna. It's a mid-table team.
Right.
And guess who now are top of the league?
That was fun.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
All right. We're back tomorrow. I mentioned the roundtable. We have that, of course, as well as Premier League Rapid Fire. So a busy one on Friday. Cheers very much.
Inside Room 442, presented by Betano. It's our inaugural World Cup show. It's Albert Vartan, Mikey Singh, Sarah Pararia, and James Sharman. We have to talk about today's matches. We had 3 matches on the slate. Group B, starting with England. How about this? 6 goals, 6-2 over Iran. A lot of standout performances, but overall, what did you think of England's performance?
I don't know what to think. So usually these games are the ones where England slip up and, mired to a 1-1 draw, something really awful, or scrape out a 1-0 win, and it drives the fan base crazy. But they just cruised in this one. Iran wasn't good in fairness, but listen, England played fantastic football, I thought. And the kids, Bellingham, Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, were just absolutely superb, showing that, as much as there's some older players who have question marks in this team, the kids coming through are really very special. And I said before, right? I mentioned before, I think last week, how there isn't much hype around England right now for some weird reason. I think they love that because I think the hype's about to increase, and that's why Gareth Southgate was so pragmatic post-match, saying, "Nah, I wasn't that happy with it."
And based on all the injuries that they had, it was still a really good 11. I found that in the midfield was a perfect balance. I mean, between Bellingham and Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham really standing out. What did you like from him today?
Jude Bellingham?
Yeah.
Oh man, this kid is such a baller. He does a lot of things that people don't necessarily appreciate as much as, some of the flashier wingers and whatnot, but his ability just to drive box to box. I love him when he doesn't have the ball and England need to win possession back. His ability just to do that so quickly. And he showed off a little bit of his scoring touch, which has really grown this year. So at 19 years old, he's going to be the next £100 million player.
He's got
100%.
9 goals this season, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's finding that goal-scoring touch. And he's captained Dortmund as well at 19 years of age. I mean, I don't want to get too carried away here. This might be the greatest player of all time.
He has this composure and confidence for a teenager, and having Declan Rice beside him gives him the ability to attack forward, and that's what we saw so much of. Just some quick notes. Harry Maguire, who was taken off with a concussion, he says he's okay. He tweeted out that he's fine. Probably shouldn't have played much after that happening. And Harry Kane, who's seen strapped up around his ankle, apparently he's going to be good to go for the next game. So good news for England. And by the way, Harry Kane didn't score in this matchup. But let's speak about Iran, Sarah. Not the best performance, but could it have to do with everything that's surrounding them that has nothing to do with football?
Yeah, absolutely. When I watch Iran, when they qualified, they're the top team in Asia. They have, Mehdi Taremi, who's been absolutely incredible this year at Porto and in the UCL. This is not the Iran that I know. And they looked exhausted. They looked mentally drained. And I really think everything that is going on politically is affecting them, which kind of makes me wonder, will it get better? Will it not? But I really feel for this team right now because I think, unfortunately, their head is just somewhere else. And we saw it, there were points of the game where I felt like they weren't even playing at all.
Yeah.
Like, they were completely checked out. So...
Well, I mean, the anthems, it's one of the most, I think, it would be one of those lasting images, I think, that we remember from this World Cup is Iran, the players not singing the national anthem. A proud, proud nation who sing the anthem, right? And the fans in the stadium appreciating that. I mean, they're under so much pressure. More than any other team in this entire World Cup, they're under the pressure. And they're probably the team to watch because of that, I think. But it's really sad. And when we talk about the whole armband issue with the other teams and how they refuse to, kind of accept it, so to speak.
Yeah.
What Iran are going through is just a different level.
Well, this is the thing with these players, them not singing the anthem, they could be put in prison for that. They could be kidnapped, and they're still doing it. So this is huge, and it really means a lot. There was this shot of a woman crying, an Iranian woman, and you could just tell it means so much. So it is, it's awful that they obviously lost by such an aggregate, but at the same time, good for them for trying to make a statement.
Yeah, multiple federations came together prior to today's matches to say that they won't be wearing the One Love armband with the heart and the rainbow color inside of that. Obviously, they've been put under storm because they decided not to go with it, specifically England. And how did you feel about this whole situation?
Well, it's so tricky for the players, right? I mean, FIFA came out, as usual, gutless, right? And they bowed to Qatar and the authorities there about having the rainbow, essentially One Love armband. And the rules are now that if you have the armband, your captain will get a yellow card.
And potentially banned for the next
maybe
match.
banned, it's coming out now, right, for the next game. And in World Cups, it's key. And obviously, there are so many things more important than sport, but this is the World Cup at this point. The players that play football, they're put in a horrible situation. I wish those 7 or 8 teams had refused to anyway. So we go right ahead. Make a fool of yourself, but they didn't. And I have a sympathy for them, but it's just a horrible situation. And FIFA, if they had any guts whatsoever, would have allowed it.
And
Yeah.
go ahead, Mikey.
No, just sporting consequences as opposed to a fine, right? They took it that next level just to really prevent this. It just, yeah, just another terrible, gutless move. by
Well,
FIFA.
and the whole Belgium thing here about the
That's,
Belgium
that's
thing.
what I was going to bring up. But these decisions make no sense. Belgium, they have love. Well, they had love on their away kit.
the
Embroidered.
collar?
Yes.
I think
and
on
they
the
were
inside,
told
right?
by FIFA. Well, the replica was inside.
Okay.
Belgium was going to wear them on the outside for the game, and they wouldn't have worn those away kits until the knockout stages anyway. But regardless, FIFA said, listen, you got to take this off. And Belgium, the president was upset about it, but he said there's nothing that we can do.
I'm just like playing devil's advocate a little bit. Do we not think though that if all these players using their platforms all decided to do this, I completely agree. It's the World Cup. They don't want to miss games. But what if they all wore it? You know what I mean? Like power in numbers. And I just feel like there are bigger things, but use football to help those, in need right now. Like just referencing the LGBTQ plus community in Qatar. They're not allowed to, love who they love in the country that they're in, and we're worried about a yellow card. Like, I think it's just like, I totally get it, but at the same time, when you say it like that,
But again, they do it the morning of a match.
yeah,
Right? They
no,
leave it to the last second. It's like the
ridiculous.
booze ban, which isn't even nearly as important, honestly, right? But they do it 24 hours before. It's just Qatar
Yeah, no.
exerting their power on this right now.
For sure.
And I mean, love is now a political word. Like, give me a break. It's appalling, really. But
Yeah.
we shouldn't be surprised. This is just the way it is. And maybe this happening now is getting more of a spotlight on the issues than had they even worn it, right? Because here we are discussing a captain's armband on a show here in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And across the world. So what? It's captain, but we're discussing it. So it's getting some notoriety now, and it's making some noise, I suppose, maybe more so. So maybe actually in a weird way, it's working out for the best.
At the end of the day, this all comes down to FIFA. Let's not forget, this was awarded to Qatar 10 years ago for reasons unknown, which we kind of know. But back to the football. Wales, Gareth Bale. We keep talking about him on this show. Talk about a big game player. Wales were, in my opinion, were out of this game for a large part of it. And once again, they rely on Bale to rescue a point, and he did with a penalty. What did you make, before we get into Wales, what did you make of USA's performance?
Yeah, they started the game very strong, right? And this U.S. men's national team, they have a lot of talented players, a lot of players that ply their trade overseas for talented clubs, different leagues, top leagues. And the biggest question is, would they all be able to come together for the United States and finally start to click? Through that first 45, it looked like they were. But the second half, they looked like a completely different team. And it looked like Wales started to take over and take over and take over. And for me, concerned a little bit about the United States now moving forward, because if they can't, finish out a game against a team like Wales, who in my opinion, moving forward, they didn't have too many threats, and clumsy decision by Walker Zimmerman there on the penalty, it could come back to bite you and cost you later on in this tournament. So yeah, not a great result for the States.
For Wales, Sarah, what did you make of their performance?
I'm not trusting them either. They relied on Bale, but it was a penalty. Otherwise, they didn't have any shots at all. They didn't. I agree with Mikey. They didn't really look great. But to be honest, neither did the U.S. I mean, I think if I'm an England fan, I'm thinking they're sitting really nice right now, because they've obviously already beat Iran. And then from what I saw from today's match between the two, England should be able to beat both of those teams relatively easily.
Yeah.
So it's both teams just unimpressive to me.
Yeah, quick look at the upcoming matches in Group B. November 25th, England against the USA and Iran against Wales. Two massive matchups. And I think for England, this is it. They win this game, James. They're through.
Yeah, it seems, listen, easy to say. I've seen England look good in spurts before, and then Wales hate England, right? And there's something beyond that. You see the fans today, and the anthem and the stadium. My God, you then get goosebumps watching that. You're dead inside, I think. It was pretty impressive, right? But yeah, you're right. England probably watched those performances and weren't concerned at all. That's what Wales do, right? They don't dominate 90 minutes, but they find ways to get results. They always do it. They're really strong that way. And the States are naive. I think they're very, very young. The second youngest team at the World Cup. And I think we saw that perhaps today. They looked really good in the first half. They took it to Wales, who were happy to sit back and give the States the ball. But in the end, it cost them some points, some big points potentially.
Yeah, quick look at the standings. England, 3 points. Wales behind them with 1. USA 1. And Iran at the bottom. If I'm England and Gareth Southgate, I do not want that game against Wales to matter in this one, because I think it's going to be the most difficult in the group. But who knows? There's still a lot to play in this World Cup. It's just match day 2. But coming up after the break, Group A, Netherlands, Senegal. Senegal put in a fantastic performance. We'll dissect that right after this. Welcome back to the show. Welcome room 442.
Easy for you today.
All excited here about the World Cup. Mikey Singh, Sarah Pariah, James Sharman, Albert Vartain. Let's talk about Group A. Netherlands beating Senegal 2-0. Sarah, for Senegal, a really good performance. Unfortunate to lose the way that they did, but it felt like they were lacking something up front, which was
Sadio Mane, of course. And I feel so gutted for Senegal and Senegal fans because, first of all, shout out to their fans who didn't stop dancing or playing music for the entire 90. They are such a good time. I love them. Just happy to be there. But yeah, no, Senegal outplayed the Dutch in my opinion, but they just couldn't do the one thing, and that was score. But you have players, Koulibaly had a great game. Edouard Mendy, even though he got scored on, he was there. They were doing so well and controlling the match, but unfortunately they were just missing big man at the front.
Mike, yeah, it's really apparent that they have everything they need to make a big run, I think, in this tournament. Defensively, they're sound. The midfield looks good. It's just an attack. They're just a little bit toothless. I mean, Ismail Sarr had a really good game, but they just don't have that player in Sadio Mane. Do you see them getting out of this group?
Yeah, you know what? Through the first 83 minutes of this game, I did see them realistically getting out of this group. I mean, I was thinking forward to match day 3 of this group, and it's Ecuador against Senegal, which should be an absolute doozy of a match.
Or a snooze fest.
Or a snooze fest, but it should be, it's a game that'll mean a lot, right? Could swing either way. But I was also going to group Netherlands into that same category, because through the first 83 minutes of this game, Netherlands looked like a team just like Senegal, just like Ecuador, in sort of that same level. I'm not convinced by the Dutch, even though they did come away with the win, but I have to give some kudos to Senegal, because I think they did show a lot, even though they didn't have that, as you're correctly pointing out, that finishing touch in Mane.
For Netherlands, a lot of people's quote-unquote dark horse, I don't know if you can categorize them as a dark horse, but a lot of good performances. The game really changed, I noticed, once Memphis Depay came on. They had that real number 9, 10, these kind of that mix and attack. But it was Cody Gakpo who stole the show.
Yeah, PSV starlet, as they say, right? He's going to be an absolute star, this kid. He's pretty special. And that was one brave header. I mean, that keeper, Mendy, came out, and I thought he was going to just take his head off. And then he stuck with it, and it's a lovely header. Great ball in, too, should mention as well. Mendy, oh, man, I don't know. He's been poor the last number of months at Chelsea. Poor again, I thought today. Just can't trust the guy at this point, and it cost him. But yeah, so back to the Dutch, though. Yeah, it's people say the dark horse team, but I'm not with it either. I mean, where is the quality that we used to see in these Dutch teams?
Right.
Leronje. Well, I know it's a long time ago, from Frank Rijkaard to Ronald Koeman to Ruud Gullit to Ruud van Nistelrooy to Robin van Persie. Yeah. These were world-class players. You know, maybe a Jakpo could be that, and he might emerge into that at some point, but at this point, they're not there. They're not a dark horse to me. They're in that mushy middle, I think, at the World Cup. And you're right, Sarah, they were fortunate today, because I thought Senegal were excellent, especially in that first half.
Barcelona's Frankie de Jong. He showed us, I think, showed the world why he's so important to this Dutch team. Everything ran through him.
Best player on that team, without a doubt. Like, he holds that midfield. He can almost stop time. Like, it almost reminds me of, like, you know, Busquets at Barcelona as well. The way he just, like, sees things, and I don't know, he really, really controlled this match, and I really loved watching him.
You watch a ton of Barcelona. Would you say that performance today was his best of the season?
Probably.
Right? He's been getting a lot of flack at Barca.
Yeah, he had. You know what, to be fair, though, the last month or so at Barcelona, he's been fantastic. The start of the season, he was a bit rocky, but he definitely has truly come into form. And I think it's also because they've been playing him in his position, which is Busquets' position, because Busquets has been on the bench a little bit more. So, transition time, right?
Okay, we have to talk about the other match in Group A. Ecuador 2, Qatar 0. James, you've been watching the World Cup for a long time. I don't want to date you, but let's talk about Qatar. It's the worst team you've ever seen in the World Cup?
It's up there.
So far?
Yeah, they were really bad. I thought it'd be a lot worse than it was, the score, actually. Yeah. They had no, I don't know, was it nerves? I mean, I can understand there being some nerves, right? These guys are not used to this environment, are they? Let's be honest here. They're all Qatar-based. And that atmosphere there at first was pretty good, but then you saw the fans fleeing for the exit.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway through the second half, they would have been blown away.
It'd be traffic, James.
No kidding, right? I mean, if I'm Qatar's coach, I'm furious, saying, what is going on here? You know, like, support us, will you? It's a host World Cup, but yeah, they didn't turn up at all. And I don't know where that Qatar is from winning the Asian Cup, from the Gold Cup. I know the players have changed a lot since those days. But yeah, really disappointing. And was it the first host nation to lose the first day? ever. I mean,
Ever.
going back to 2006, I think is when they started doing that. But still, it's pretty poor. I mean, Ecuador look pretty good, world beaters. They're a decent team, but they're not that good.
Yeah, and Valencia looking like the Golden Boot contender,
Amazing.
winning a 2-0. And a quick look at their matches coming up next. Senegal against Qatar. I think for any team in this group, for Netherlands, Ecuador already played them, and Senegal, Qatar is a team to beat. You have to win that game. And I expect Senegal to win it, but you never know. Netherlands and Ecuador, that should also be a fantastic matchup. Maybe Valencia can add to his goal total. We'll see. But coming up after the break, fast money football time. We're going to talk about tomorrow's matches. We've got 4, including Lionel Messi making his debut at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Welcome back to Room 442. It's time for Fast Money Football presented by Betano. 4 games on the schedule tomorrow, and let's start with Argentina, massive favorites against Saudi Arabia. To me, it's so difficult to find value in this game. I think we all expect Argentina to win it, but no one's going to lay the number that's out there at the moment. I think Messi could be one of the bets to make in terms of anytime scorer, but what are you looking at, Mike?
Me personally, so I was going back and forth on this. Saudi Arabia, if you look over the last 2 years, they've played competitive matches, but they don't concede a lot of goals. I think over the last 2 years, they actually haven't conceded more than twice in a single game. But then you break it down to sort of their opponents. And the best opponent they've really faced is like a Morocco, Japan, United States.
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually like, I'm thinking Saudi Arabia get a rude awakening at this World Cup, the hands of potentially Lionel Messi. Now, I'm not going to throw money on Messi personally, but I'm going to look at goals in this one and over 3.5 goals. You can get that at plus money. I believe it's plus 162 right now. And I like that one because I just think there's going to be a lot of goals in this one for Argentina.
Yeah, I try to find some value. I decided to go with Argentina to score in both halves, so around minus 120.
Yeah.
Right, I feel like it's a 3-0, possibly like a 4-0 or something like that, James.
The goal scoring markets are interesting, aren't they? Because Messi's at, I think, minus 161 or something, right?
That's Holland numbers.
Yeah, exactly, right? So he's going to score. But every other Argentine player is plus money. So there's some good strikers who are going to be probably starting. Lautaro Martinez, I imagine, will start tomorrow.
Julian
Maybe Julian Alvarez. Maybe it's Alvarez.
That's why tomorrow you got to put money on Angel Di Maria to score. He's at plus money.
2 goals in his last game.
Thank you very much. And that's where I would put my money, 100%. Angel Di Maria is going to start. You don't know if Lautaro is. So, better option. And yeah, Mikey said he scored 2 goals. Argentina I see it also being a blowout.
No love for Saudi Arabia, huh?
Zero.
Sorry.
None at all
Yeah.
here. What's going on?
Another game going on in the group, Poland, Mexico. This one pretty much a pick 'em at the moment. I'm just going right off the board. Lewandowski plus 142. If Poland are going to do anything, if they're going to score a goal, it's going to come through him, James.
This game screams draw to me.
I
actually.
know.
Plus 215. Last time I looked on Bertano. Listen, we know what Mexico is. They're a team that's declining, I think. A lot of pressure on their manager's shoulders. We saw them a lot here, of course, in qualifying. Didn't impress me once during qualifying. And Poland, again, a team that relies, like I said, on Lewandowski, isn't the same team as it was 4 years ago, when it has some real nice parts. So this might not be a great game. I see low scoring, absolutely.
Mikey, Poland, Mexico, probably the most important game in this match for either of these two sides.
Yeah, absolutely. This one could potentially define who makes it out of the group, along with who we all expect in Argentina,
I thought you were going to
right?
say Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I debated, but I think I came out on top with Argentina. And as you mentioned, man, this is a pick'em game, right? It could go either way. So typically, my rule of thumb for that,
Go with the biggest number on the board.
go with the biggest number on the board. So if it's me, I'm sprinkling some money on Poland. I think they're at plus 210 right now.
Sarah, France, Australia. France, massive favorites. Obviously, in my opinion, Australia, one of the worst teams at the World Cup. We haven't seen them play yet. Qatar, obviously, at the top of that list. Any way Australia pull off the upset here?
I don't think so, but I think that France, maybe they got scored on. I found some plus
Okay.
money. If you take France to win, both teams to score, I think it's almost like plus 200. That's decent to me, considering France are so favored in this game. We know that this team is rocky right now. We know that they've been hit with several injuries. Maybe we see, it kind of crumble at some point, but I can't see them losing the match itself.
Yeah, James, they've been decimated by injury and now absences, but there's no way they're losing to Australia.
I wouldn't think so. But I mean, if you take out the players they've lost, for most teams this World Cup, their hopes to be just dashed, right? But because it's France and the depth they have, they can handle Pogba and Kante and Benzema. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? How many injuries they have.
Key players.
Key players. I tell you, let's go to the defense and the goalkeeper. I've got no faith in Hugo Lloris. As a Spurs fan,
World
you know what I
Cup
mean? I
winner.
know he was. That was 4 years ago. That was a long time ago. I can see Australia nicking a goal in this one, but I see France winning it
There you
handily. So both teams to score.
I like it. I'm going France minus 1.5. I think they win this pretty easily. Maybe
Who
2-0,
here
3-0.
can name a striker from Australia? Top of your head.
Tim Cahill.
Yeah.
Where's Mui? No, he's just midfielder. isn't
Aaron
he?
Moy. Matt Ryan, he's the keeper. Denmark minus 175 favorites against Tunisia. Tunisia, not the biggest dog on the board here. Got to be a pretty straightforward win for Denmark, Sarah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I found some value with Denmark and over 2.5. I can see them getting a little 1-2 there, and they could maybe top this group. We're kind of thinking about it.
I hope so.
Yeah, you're out. I really hope so.
Is it hot taker to think that Tunisia might get something out of this one?
Yeah, but I
And
think so
everyone's
too.
There's love affair with Denmark, right?
I know, that's what I don't like. When it comes to betting and everyone likes a certain thing, it
Yeah.
usually goes the other way.
Because Tunisia, out of all the African teams, no one talks about Tunisia, right? And Senegal kind of let us all down today. Some teams got to emerge from Africa and do something at this World Cup. Maybe it'll be a surprise package like Tunisia.
You agree with James?
No. I can't say that I do. I think Tunisia is going to make a very strong case for being one of the worst teams at this tournament.
He has like 27 worst teams.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of bad teams at this tournament. And going up against France, like Kylian Mbappe is still there. Let's not forget about
Denmark. Tunisia's playing Denmark.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Denmark. Thank you for correcting me. Denmark actually has no really good number 9, so that actually sways my argument complete other way. So look at the under 2.5 goals in this one, but I do still think Denmark's going to pick up the result.
Yeah, Denmark. This is a game that they have to, and I feel like if you're Denmark, you're already coming into this tournament really comfortable, and this is me who's picking them to go all the way, so I got to give you the spiel. You have to think that you have to go into this matchup against Tunisia and win this game. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's a pressure one. You have to win this one, for sure. Although, I mean, listen, they played France great in recent months. I think beat them twice in qualifying, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they don't fear anyone at this point. But you're right. Tunisia is we think, probably the weaker of the teams in this group, and you have to start off well. Momentum's everything in the World Cup. Start off well, see how far you go. So I dare say Denmark will win this one, but I just have that kind of feeling that, everyone's just dismissing this Tunisia side. They're pretty good.
I'm pushing all my chips in with Denmark. I'm going Denmark to win the game and Denmark and over 1.5 goals. But that's it. That's it. The inaugural show is wrapped up. Michael Singh, Sarah Pryor, James Sharman, Albert Vartan. We'll be back with you tomorrow and for the rest of the World Cup. Thanks for watching.